Welcome to part one of the rawresume.com series on how to write a great resume. We're going to be looking at how to make a resume from start to finish, and in part one of this series, we're going to look at the main concepts you need to know, as well as the first section of a resume, your contact information in the header. So I will just note that this video series goes along with the guide we have on rawresume.com. There will be a link in the description. If you want to check it out, go do that at some point. So first thing you need to know is that you have about 6 seconds. 6 seconds to get the attention of an average hiring manager. If you don't, you don't have anything impressive in that 6 seconds, resume in the trash. So take a look at these two heat maps here. These are two different resumes side by side. And you'll see that most of the attention is paid to these red and yellow spots and a little bit to the blue. And during an initial scan, most of the attention will be around the top of the resume, towards the left side a little bit. That's just how people read. If you do well and you intrigue someone to read more, then they're going to start reading to the bottom. And if you have important things at the bottom too, that's how you start getting interviews. You need to impress the hiring manager. So anyways, the important thing you get from this concept is that this top space is so valuable and so crucial if you want your resume to get read. So this is going to be a concept that we come back to later on in the video series. Just keep it in mind. So now let's look at the header. Okay? So let's look at what a good header looks like. It's easier to deconstruct. So this is a good header. This is a good header. Both pretty basic. Headers don't have to be fancy. What you want is your name at the top. It should be the biggest thing on the page. Okay? It needs to stand out. It's the starting point for anyone reading your resume. But underneath, what a lot of people make mistakes with is including too much contact information, or including it in a poor order, taking up too much space, or highlighting it. There's no need to highlight your contact information. Any hiring manager will know it's there. All you need to do is include your city in some way. You don't necessarily need an address, that's optional. Include the city, include a postal code that gives the hiring manager an idea of where you live, if you need to relocate or not. And then another line should be just your contact information. Okay, ideally you want at least 2 forms of contact information. In this case, a phone number. There really shouldn't be a space here, but ignore that. And an email address. And let's just make a quick note, it should be common sense, but use a professional email address. Don't include, have some examples up here, bananaunicorn69@jazzymail.com. That looks totally unprofessional and your resume just goes to the garbage if someone sees that. So use something professional, first name, last name @gmail or mail.com or email.com, whatever. Okay? One more thing we need to look at is optional information. So a personal website you may want to include for certain jobs. If you have a personal website, it's professional, it has your portfolio or your professional accomplishments on it, that's something you might want to include, especially if you're a web designer or a programmer, or a job like that. If you're applying to work at a grocery store, you probably don't need a personal website. And finally, for the header, we want to look at social media. So what a lot of hiring managers do these days is, over half of them eventually look at your social media platforms. Your Facebook, maybe Twitter, definitely LinkedIn, if they think they might want to give you an interview. So first of all, make sure your platforms are professional, don't have any inappropriate pictures. The other thing is you may want to include a link, a professional link, like Get a short name, so www.facebook.com/yourname, so it's easy for them to type in. But you might want to think about doing this if you have a really common name. So take a look at this example here. What an employer or hiring manager will do is Google your name. So if it was Jane Smith plus the Facebook term. Now the problems can arise if there's a whole bunch of Jane Smiths, and especially if they live in the same location, it's easy for them to be mistaken for you. So if they have inappropriate pictures, it automatically reflects that on you, even though it's not even you. So there's some situations you might want to include links to your social media, but for the most part, you just want to keep it nice and simple, nice big name, simple contact information, and you have a good solid header. So that's it for this section. We're going to dig into the more important sections now, how to really stand out, make a good first impression, and then how to keep the attention when a job recruiter goes down the resume.